This town hall this evening is sponsored by Eastside Progressives and GRUMPS, which is Grandparents United for Madison Public Schools. My name is Jo Mercurio, and I'll be your moderator this evening. The town hall was originally planned with two sections. One was going to be Board of Education candidates, and the other, the candidates for Alder and Madison District 16. This week, a significant conflict came up for one of the Board of Education candidates, so unfortunately, we won't be able to have that part this evening, but we hope to reschedule that forum for later on in the winter. We also just have learned that Kim Richmond cannot join us tonight. So we will have the 4 candidates instead of 5 tonight, which means that you'll probably get an extra. Well, we'll leave it the way it is. And then when we get to the end, we may have more time than we thought. And we have a plan for that. So we'll leave the timing just exactly as we've planned it. So we have 4 candidates for Alder. They'll face off on February 16th in the primary. And then 2 will go on to the April 6th general election. We've prepared 8 questions by a subcommittee, and that was after the public was invited to submit questions. We have a well-paced program tonight, but if there's time for additional questions from audience members, and there may well be now, we will ask them also. But audience, we ask you to please put your questions into the chat room during the first 20 minutes of the program, if you will. Does that make sense to everybody, I hope? Thanks. Candidates will have equal time for opening and closing statements and each question. A volunteer timekeeper, Arden Rice, will let candidates know when they have 30 seconds. She's going to do that in the chat room, so keep your chat function open, and she'll tell you in the chat when you have 30 seconds left to complete your answer. And then she will audibly say it's time when your turn is over. A candidate's name was drawn from the hat. People witnessed that. And that will determine who goes first, and then we'll rotate who goes first alphabetically thereafter. Okay. Before we start, I'd like to say thank you to outgoing Alder Mike Tierney. As we're all very aware these days, for our democracy to work, people have to step up and participate. So thank you to him, and thank you to all of you candidates for being in the process. I'd also like to thank our co-sponsors from GRUMP, who are an engaged and active group of elders who continue to keep important questions about Madison Public Schools in the spotlight for us. So thanks to them. Lastly, thanks to Eastside Progressive Steering Committee and other volunteers who strive to foster a racially, ethnically, and economically diverse community of people committed to social justice. One of the ways we do this is to hold these kinds of town halls to help voters get to know candidates for public office and help have a chance to elect local government officials that reflect our values. So without further ado then, I guess people can see your names. I was going to ask you to give a wave, and perhaps you'd like to. Why don't you just start, Matt, just introduce yourself just quickly with your name, and each of you just introduce yourselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Trammell.
Greg?
Hi, I'm Greg Dixon.
JL?
Good evening, everyone. I'm JL Curry.
And Tyson.
Hi, everybody. Tyson Vitale, pronouns he, him.
Great. All righty. Well, without further ado, JL Curry's name was chosen out of the hat to go first. So JL, we'll welcome you with your minute and a half of opening statement. Okay. Anytime.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. My name again is JL Curry, and I'm running to become the next Alder of Madison's 16th district. I am a Black woman, mother, former teen mom, Madisonian, La Follette Lancer, East Sider, UW System double graduate, and a social service professional. I'm running to become your Alder in order to enhance my service to our community and bring the concerns of ordinary people to Madison City Council. I'm hearing a lot of feedback.
Jacob, can you mute?
Let me see. My whole face came up.
All right. I'm not sure. Does this reset or do you want me to just start over?
My apologies. I've muted everybody and then I unmuted you, JL.
All right. Thanks.
Sorry, this is just the ghost in the machine keeping the background flowing.
Okay. So I'm running to become your alder in order to enhance my service to our community and bring the concerns of ordinary people to Madison City Council. I have exceptional collaborative skills, the ability to gain perspectives from all walks of life and implement those viewpoints into thoughtful yet intentional decisions. I have dedicated my career to providing resources that meet human and social needs, as well as actively work towards eradicating injustices that are at the root of many of our societal issues. As someone who has served in multiple roles within the field of homeless services the past 5 years, I bring in valuable perspectives, coalitions, and solutions regarding how Madison can reduce and eventually eliminate homelessness. Ultimately, these experiences will also help guide my ability to understand details, approval, and accountability within the city budget, as well as how to balance the multiple roles and responsibilities alders have. Every layer of decision-making entities, especially local government, need to have leaders that residents can identify and find commonality with, and I am that person. My wide range of personal and professional experiences equip me with the skills necessary to lead District 16. I am responding to what I feel is an ethical call, and I'm confident that my plan to provide authentic, accountable, and solution-focused leadership will take District 16 in a direction that ensures we are moving Madison forward together. I look forward to sharing more details and answering your questions. Thank you.
Greg, you're next. Thank you, JL. Greg, you may need to unmute yourself, or Jacob needs to unmute you.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah, so another question, a technical question before I start. So is there a timer in the chat box?
In the chat box, you will get a 30-second warning. No, there's not a clock timing down. We have
Okay,
a
gotcha.
person who's doing the
That's how that
timing.
works. Okay, yeah, so it sounds good. So hi, everyone. Thanks, it's really a pleasure to be here. I've been a Madison resident since high school. My mom was born in Cambridge, Wisconsin, on a farm. My family settled in Wisconsin in the 1800s, around the time of the Civil War, and they bought land in Dane County and around Ashland. So I actually grew up in the Southwest in Las Vegas and Reno and Tucson, and I used to spend summers on the farm with my grandpa in Cambridge, and he told me a story about when he was growing up in the early 1900s. There used to be gangs of Germans and Norwegians that would have fistfights in Cambridge and London, Wisconsin. Norwegians and Germans, and there are probably some Germans in the audience tonight. And anyway, I just wanted to say that I hope we can relax and accept each other, at least for this one night. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, next opening statement, Matt Trammell.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So my name is Matt Trammell, and I want to first thank you all for being here. And I want to thank the East Side Progressives and GRUMPS, which has to be the best acronym that I've ever heard, for hosting this forum. And I believe that your organization is an offshoot of the initial Obama campaign in 2008. I'm proud to say that I organized for Obama in the fall of 2008, which was an incredibly uplifting experience. More recently, I worked as an election official in this past November's election at Glendale Elementary here in my neighborhood, which I thought was important because COVID was keeping many of our past election workers at home this cycle. So again, that was another enlightening experience for me, and I was glad to be able to do that. Listen, I believe in a very simple strategy: listen first and solve problems second. It's something that I've learned firsthand, coming from an incredible family of public school teachers and nurses. They've always been my inspiration, and I deeply admire their dedication to public and community service. So I'm running for alder to help ensure that the 16th is a vibrant, growing, inclusive community on the East Side, and that our issues and needs are a priority on the Common Council. Personally, my wife, Heather, and I.
Time. All right.
I'm sorry?
You're at time. We're having challenge with me getting to the chat. I'm sorry.
Okay, that was a minute and a half?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Okay.
Do you have one finishing sentence, Matt?
Well, just that, we grew up, I grew up in Peoria, and we moved here from Chicago. Extremely happy to be here. Appreciate this opportunity, and I look forward to sharing my views with you tonight.
Thank you. Let me just take 1 second here to ask this question.
So my apologies for the issues with the chat. We're just going to start verbally cutting in at 30 seconds because that's not working for whatever reason. We do apologize for that. That's how we did it before. There must be something different going on with our system now.
Okay. All right, Tyson, a minute and a half for your opening statement.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tyson Vitale. I've grown up on the far east side since I've been 12 years old and a lifelong Madisonian here. And I'm ready to run and decided to run for District 16 Alder to represent the far east side of Madison because y'all are the folks who invested in me, and I'm ready to, give that investment back. I'm ready to commit over 20 hours, or probably around 20 hours, which is probably what it's going to take as a part-time alder to really ensure that we have, good constituency engagement, that, I am an advocate for equity and, live by my strong progressive roots in this city and also an advocate for small business. Those are some of the things that I am running on. And I am proud to also have the support and endorsement of a lot of folks who, have been there for me, and I've worked with both either on council, on certain issues, or on through nonprofit work.
30 seconds.
Okay. As the current director, the current vice president of the board of directors for Outreach Inc. I'm proud to have the endorsements of a former president and current alder Shiva Badar, Alder Arvina Martin, school board president Gloria Reyes, among many other community leaders, and looking forward to listen to the community even more than I already have, and talk to everybody and make sure that all voices are heard on the council and represented on the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Sorry for that little rough beginning. Hopefully we'll smooth out and we'll get going with the questions. So the first question is a minute and a half, and it will go to Greg first. And the question is this: how would you rate the job that Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway is doing? As a newly elected alder, how would you work together with her to make Madison a better city? Unmute. Thank you.
It's hard to know where to begin in some ways. You know, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. There have been protests in Madison. President Trump was just impeached for the second time for inciting insurrection during the count of the electoral vote. In some ways, it seems like we're in the end times. You know, it's one crisis after another. The National Guard has been called out in order to protect Joe Biden during his inauguration. It's just unbelievable. I think that given everything involved, Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway has done probably as good a job as anybody could. And I really think that we need to come together to work these problems out together. The problems are huge. And one word has been sticking out in my mind this afternoon, and that's de-escalate.
You silly Billy. We never did you that.
Thank you, Greg.
Next time I'll break it up a whole
Okay.
Can I just make it one small procedural? I'm gonna just put up show a sign that says 30 to let you know that all the candidates have 30 seconds. And so when you see the 30, instead of interrupting you, because the chat is difficult, and then I'll interject when it's time. But yeah.
Do you want me to restate the question?
That would be helpful, please.
Okay, so it's going to Matt next. How would you rate the job Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway is doing as a newly elected alder? How would you work together with her to make Madison a better city? Unmute. Matt needs to unmute.
Okay, here I am. Yeah, so listen, it's been an interesting start to her tenure for sure. The COVID pandemic and the social justice protests from this summer were two historic upheavals at the same time. So from my perspective, Mayor Rhodes-Conway has faced some very difficult circumstances. And I'm hopeful that if I earn the opportunity to be alder, that we would have a great working relationship together. That said, I think it's going to be a really difficult, there's going to be some difficult decisions to make in 2021 and beyond, particularly given the city's finances and being strained due to the COVID pandemic. So, you know, both the mayor and the council are going to have to prioritize spending in a way that serves all citizens. And frankly, we're going to have to work together hard to strengthen relationships between the community and the police department. And importantly, one where every citizen feels safe and respected, but also where every police officer feels respected. And I plan to work with the mayor and the Common Council to do everything that we can to help support the community and economic development at the same time. But we have to ensure, you know, that Madison is a place that offers great jobs and opportunities for all citizens while continuing to build foundations for effective public health and safety.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, and Tyson, you're up. Unmute, and we'll start the clock.
Did you say my name? I'm sorry, it cut out a little bit.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Do you need me to restate the question, or do you have it?
Sure, if you could restate the question.
Just how would you rate the job that Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway is doing as a newly elected alder? How would you work together with her to make Madison a better city?
Yeah, so I think any mayor, like any all municipal governments and every single mayor I think in the country has faced unprecedented times currently. As we see, I'm laughing because it's just, that's all you can do, right? We're in a global pandemic. We're in, you know, seeing the social justice movements that have came about, you know, among many other things that we've all witnessed happen this last week even. But I think Satya has done well in certain areas, especially when it comes to trying to address and work within the confines that we have and that we can work within as a municipal government, and her as a mayor, to address the pandemic and how it's affected a lot of our small businesses. I would work with Mayor Rhodes-Conway and the other alders to advocate for the continuation of the Small Business Equity and Recovery Grant that we started in 2020, and ensure that it's also fairly distributed throughout the city and not just, quite frankly, downtown. A lot of times we are not represented on the far east side, or a lot of those funds or grants that we are provided as a city. I want to make sure to be an advocate and work with the mayor to make sure that those are fairly distributed to the businesses and the areas and community amenities that we deserve as Far East Siders as well. So that's what I will do, and that's what I will continue to do and have done in my lobbying work. I don't know, as a constituency before before me being alder, but as alder, that's what I would continue to do.
Thank you. JL, unmute.
Okay.
And just as we've been doing, how would you rate the job Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway is doing? And if you were as a newly elected alder, how would you work together with her to make Madison a better city?
Sure, thank you. So to echo what all my co-candidates have said so far, it's been an insurmountable challenge for any elected official or mayor, and that does not escape Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway. One thing that is definitely a challenge during a time of social distancing and COVID-19 is the ability to actually connect with folks in person. And so definitely seen some strides from city government, from the mayor herself, of providing as many accessible options to tune into Common Council meetings, other committees. She has been in the community. And so despite what's going on, definitely have seen some ways to engage and hear from residents and constituents about what they need and see as gaps in our Madison. As an alder person, I view our duty to be a liaison between residents, the mayor, and city staff. And as alderperson of District 16, I would continue to do so.
Thank you. Thank you all. The next question is a 2-minute question. And Matt will start, will be the first person. Given the crime and safety concerns in District 16 and the ongoing conversation regarding defunding the police, what are your priorities for crime prevention? Sorry, oh my goodness me, oh my. Given the crime and safety concerns in District 16 and the ongoing conversations about defunding the police, what are your priorities for crime prevention and safety services? 2 minutes, and unmute, please. Unmute.
I was unmuted, somebody muted me. First off, I want to say that I support the Madison Police Department and all of our first responders. We cannot have a healthy, productive community without ensuring the safety of all citizens. And I'll say this in particular about defunding the police. While I believe it's well-intentioned in terms of reallocating more funding towards strengthening community relations, but the language is toxic, and we need to lower the temperature so we can come to the table and work together to address the real issues. Specifically in the 16th, with respect to a rise in car break-ins and auto theft, those are crimes of opportunity. So we need to be working hard to address the reasons why that's happening. I mean, usually it's by someone who's more incentivized to commit a crime than to be doing something more productive with their time. So from the civic side, we need strong youth outreach and after-school programs, a solid jobs and employment environment, and internship partnerships with local businesses. In the community, we need strong neighborhood associations. We need neighbor awareness, making sure that criminals know that they're being watched. That's always important. And we also need everyone to understand that crime doesn't pay, and that jobs and career growth and community involvement is by far the better path. So with respect to relationships with the Madison Police Department specifically, they have to be held to the highest standards. That's an ongoing process, as we know. I've long believed that police departments across the country can reimagine how they work together with the community, and that has to be built on trust. But we also have to support them be the most effective they can be in the community, and we have to provide them with the best conflict resolution training that's available, and they should always be prioritizing de-escalation over anything else, really, from my perspective. And importantly, I believe strongly about this, we also need to support ancillary mental health services in the community as much as possible, which definitely would relieve some of the pressure on the police department.
Thank you. Tyson, you're up next. Unmute.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please? Sorry, my internet.
Yes, given the crime and safety concerns in District 16 and the ongoing conversation regarding defunding the police, what are your priorities for crime prevention and safety services?
Got it. So this is an issue that I hear as probably the #1 issue that is on the mind of a lot of residents. And I grew up, to know about me a little bit, I grew up on Vernon Avenue, right across the street from the district, in District 3, and since I was 12 years old. And first off and foremost, everyone deserves the right to feel safe in their house and in their neighborhood. And I know firsthand how that feels. I grew up in the area that is probably one of the most, hardest hit areas when it comes to safety and crime. That's why I'm running. And one of the reasons that I'm running is because we have two Madisons here where there is a lack of, communication, a lack of understanding, and a lack of really cultural competency to address these issues and get to the root causes of them. I would support housing initiatives to make it easier to rent, buy, and maintain housing security. Community assets like libraries, neighborhood centers, and green spaces, violence prevention programs such as mentoring our most at-risk youth, to ensure that we're encouraging thoughtful and productive citizenry. And why do I mention that is because the fact is, crime and lack of safety and the disparities we face as a city today go hand in hand. They are connected. And we have to get to the root causes of what is causing folks to not feel a sense of belonging in their community or feel like they can contribute to their community. I could have easily been one of those kids. If it wasn't for folks investing in me, if it wasn't for Eastsiders investing in me, I could have very easily taken the wrong path, right? And I want to ensure to take my lived experience in doing that, and also my experience in, working with elders on city council to really, address this with, frankly, what we have it in a way that we haven't quite done yet, especially in District 16, with someone with the lived experience and also the knowledge to really bridge that gap of the two Madisons to move us forward as a safer, more equitable Madison for everyone in the city. And I really believe we have an opportunity to do that right now. And I'm not sure what the time is or how much time I have. I wasn't paying attention, so I can't see the numbers. Can I get a time check?
You're out of time. Sorry. So
you can't see this.
Is that
there it is. Okay. I can't know because she going out of the window.
It's 7 o'clock.
But anyway, okay, that was my MacBook.
Okay. All right. Very good. JL, you will be next. Unmute. And given the crime and safety concerns in District 16 and ongoing conversations about defunding the police, what are your priorities for crime prevention and safety services?
Sure, thank you. So first and foremost, my identity as a social service provider and professional has provided me with over a decade of experience of really realizing that law enforcement has an insurmountable burden of things to respond to. In Madison and Dane County, we are fortunate to be a resource-rich community, and myself and other colleagues have went to school and spent time going to professional development and trainings in order to enhance our services. And we are ready to roll up our sleeves and provide those responses that Madison residents need in terms of mental health, in terms of, I should say, behavioral and mental health, in terms of domestic violence, in terms of abuse of vulnerable children and adults. There's a gamut of folks that we need to support and provide safety for, especially our most vulnerable residents, but every Madisonian deserves to feel safe in their home and in their neighborhood. And so my priorities would be supporting reallocation of funding to resources in the community that can provide those vital needs. In terms of crime and prevention and burglaries and home burglaries and car burglaries in the 16th district and East Side, and that is a law enforcement issue that our police departments will have to work with our community to, again, kind of redefine what their role is in public safety, but have a hand in collaborating with the community and hearing what their needs and concerns around crime and safety is.
Okay. Thank you. Greg, I believe you are next.
So I've been walking around the various neighborhoods in the 16th district. I live in the Glendale neighborhood with my wife Emily, and I've been visiting all of the neighborhoods. It was actually a surprise to me that there are several neighborhoods in District 16 that are on the McFarland side of the Beltline. And anyway, I've been walking down there. I've been walking through Albion, and I've been struck with how many people mention crime problems when I talk to them. I met a guy in Liberty Park yesterday, and I asked everybody the same thing. I asked them, do you like your neighborhood? You know, how do you feel about your neighborhood? And almost universally, people say, I love my neighborhood. And that's what he said. He said, I love my neighborhood. I live here with my wife, and we have a 1-year-old, and we love it. And I said, well, you know, are there any things you'd like to see improved in the neighborhood? And he said, well, you know, and he paused, and he said, well, you know, I had my car stolen. And it's also been broken into. And, you know, it's when you call the police here, it takes a while for them to get down here. And we talked about that. And the East District Police Department is way up on Cottage Grove Road. He lives, you know, right on the edge of McFarland, and it's hard for the East District to cover that kind of an area. Anyway, I support, frankly, during these times, I think that the police could use more resources. But to pick up on what Tyson said, a central theme of my campaign is equality of opportunity. And these are problems that the police cannot solve. And we really need to increase opportunity in our neighborhoods in order to finally solve these problems.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay, on to the next question, which is 1.5 minutes. And Tyson, this will go to you first. I can't see you, so I hope that
Sorry,
you're
my
there.
internet again. I really apologize, y'all. 1 second, I can't hear you.
Can you hear now?
Yes, let me try to turn my video on and make sure that it doesn't cut out again. I apologize. Can I talk about internet? There we go. I think
Okay.
I can hear you now. Sorry about that.
All right, 1.5 minutes, and the question comes to you first. With Madison being the largest entity in Dane County and home of the University of Wisconsin, are there projects in which the city could collaborate with Dane County and the UW?
Absolutely, and I've been talking with county board supervisors, some that are supporting me, such as the head of HHN, Liz Doyle, with our supervisor Liz Doyle, along with others. On how to best do this. This isn't a question that I have like a direct answer to as of yet, because there's a lot of opportunities that we can really, I think, collaborate better and also save money as a city and a county. As we saw with the Buckeye Road project, we could definitely use some better collaboration with the city and county government at times. I think we do a good one in terms of like public health, and we already do partner with the county government on public health and other issues. and of that nature. I think we can do better, and I think we have an opportunity to do better. And that's why I'm in talks right now with folks that are both at the city government and city level and the county level on how to best do that. So yeah, that's really my answer with that. I don't want to give specifics that I have not hashed out yet. I've got about 10 more hours of homework to do on that specific issue. As you know, there's a lot of things to study when you're running for council. So yeah, I'm excited to looking forward to working with, county, does it say 20 seconds? Now I can see. Okay. With county board supervisors and, county executive Joe Parisi and, city officials to see how we can best, coordinate and collaborate on specific issues or just broader issues in general when it comes to county government and city government. So, yes.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to JL and then Greg and then Matt. So JL, how are there projects in which the city could collaborate with Dane County and UW?
Absolutely. And there is definitely collaboration that is already occurring. Like Tyson previously said, many of us are in conversations with currently elected officials, including county board supervisors, many who are watching right now or on the call. Also, as a UW alumni, I'm aware of a lot of rich opportunities that have been afforded as far as training opportunities for UW students in order to become city and county officials. Actually, during my graduate study at the UW School of Social Work, I was part of a training, Title IV-E training program, which prepared myself and fellow classmates to go into the field of child welfare. So protecting young children from abuse and neglect. And that was a partnership or an example of one that provided me an opportunity to work within county government in South Central Wisconsin, which has also led and fueled my passion within the social services field to expand into other areas to provide crucial needs in terms of injustices and equitable access in Madison.
Great, thank you. Greg, are there projects in which the city could collaborate with Dane County and with the university?
So I have 90 seconds, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so pie in the sky here. So I'm a professional sports photographer, and but I've worn many hats. I have a degree from the university. I used to be in biotech, although I actually wrote software for a biotech company, Promega, and I've also worked with other biotech companies. So there's part of District 16 that's not really a neighborhood. I mean, it doesn't have a neighborhood name. It's the business area on Agriculture Drive. A number of those businesses sit empty, and I go out to the west side and it's flourishing, and there's the University Research Park. I would love to see something like that in the area next to the State Department of Consumer Protection. There's also an area on the other side of the Beltline that would be ripe for that. That could create opportunities, and I would love to see businesses like that where we could have some sort of apprenticeship with kids in our high schools, because there's really a lack of opportunity in those neighborhoods. So I know that's pie in the sky, but I really want to see that done.
Thank you. Matt, unmute and.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. I'm kind of with Tyson on this. I mean, there's a lot of things running around in my mind that would take some further thought. But just off the top of my head, with the university, I think transportation issues is something that we could work together with them on, particularly in and around the university and downtown, making sure that there's connections, efficient connections into every neighborhood. In terms of education programs and job programs, We certainly should be partnering with the university, and I know we are in some degree, but to be working with young adults from the community and helping them find jobs in partnership with local business leaders. That would be one way to do it. I think in terms of, say, environmental sciences, which of course is strong at the university, we could be partnering with them more to be improving the water quality and making sure that we're improving our lakes and waterways. Maybe an internship program within the university itself, which would be a great opportunity for UW to showcase the power of higher education within the community. In terms of Dane County, I could just say that I would be working closely with the Dane County County Board and officials, making sure that we're working together and symbiotic on everything that we can be. I think specifically there could be partnerships on things like solar and renewable energy projects within the Dane County area, finding ways to strengthen any of the efforts there that are already happening and producing any synergy that kind of increases accessibility.
Sorry, you're
to
over
alternative
time.
energy.
Thank you. The next question goes to JL first, and that is, how can you improve transportation options for the residents of District 16?
How can you improve transportation options for the residents of District 16?
Correct.
Well, it would be through working with our Department of Transportation, working with city officials, Madison. That is in issue that I can say as a District 16th resident, I have not had, but I know that I have privilege of owning my own car and having the luxury of going throughout the city or going throughout the East Side. I think to echo something that was said earlier, a good leader first listens before providing solutions. And because this is not an issue that I have heard about on a frequent level from our district, as well as within my work capacities, I would need to first be intentionally listening to those who do have the opposite experience, what those experiences are, and work collaboratively together to find solutions that would bridge gaps in needs for transportation currently. I do know that within my neighborhood in East Buckeye, there are not a lot of bus stops. I have children who are in middle and high school who rely on Madison Metro to get to and from school. And so that is one thing that I would want to explore, especially working downtown. All buses pass through the Capitol Square, but we only have one or two that come through here. And so we'll be looking at what are the public transportation options available currently in the district and increasing those options for our residents who are not fortunate enough to have the convenience of their own personal transportation.
Thank you. And it goes next
This
to
is
Greg.
This is a 2-minute question, right? Can you clarify that for?
I'm sorry, you're correct. It is a 2-minute question. But everyone so far has had 2 minutes, correct? Okay. Yep, 2 minutes. Greg, how could you improve transportation options for residents of District 16?
Well, to start, I'd like to flip the question on its head. So I'd really like to see more opportunity in the district. So I talked about, the possibility of bringing something from the university, research park, something like that. The Biden team has promised almost a Green New Deal to pump money into local economies, to renovate houses, to work on green technology. I would love to see technology expand in our district. And so people who live in the neighborhoods of the district wouldn't have to drive as far. But in terms of transportation, one of the key things that people mention to me when I talk to them is just how people are always speeding through their neighborhoods. That's one of the primary things that they worry about. it's very difficult. We have the lakes, we're very spread out. The transportation problems are very difficult in a geography like ours. I would like to explore options that are creative, like maybe driver services in the periphery and a central trunk line of the buses, something like that. Our bus system, I used to take the bus to college and it took forever. I live just a few minutes away from campus and I could spend 3 hours a day on the bus. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Matt, you're up next.
Yeah, so look, I'm passionate about transportation. I think it has the ability, we need to be able to safely and efficiently move around in our communities. That's not only important, it's a significant contributor to quality of life. My wife, who's a nurse practitioner at UW University Hospital downtown, rides her bike to work most days. It's about 8 miles either way. And I've ridden that route several times, and I can definitely report that we need better and safer bike lane connections across all of the 16th. But we need to continue to work, toward a comprehensive, integrated transportation system that serves all neighborhoods and all neighbors. Whether you're taking the bus, whether you're riding your bike, walking, or driving a car, every citizen needs safe, affordable transportation options. So, I know that bus rapid transit is kind of on everybody's minds these days. I think that can be a useful tool, and particularly moving in and out of downtown. But we need to make sure that it doesn't cut off other bus service areas and have a unintended consequence there. So, whatever changes are being made to Madison's transportation systems, we have to ensure that it has a positive effect on the 16th and all of our neighborhoods.
Thank you. Tyson, the question comes to you. How would you improve transportation options? Sorry.
That's okay. Simple. Going back to being an advocate for the East Side. Not a simple question or not a simple solution, but a simple from there's 2 fronts here that we need to do. And one is making sure that we actually are represented on council. We do not, and we are not. We are left out, and we are looked at a lot of times as not even a part of Madison, right? We're like, oh, they're like the suburbs. We're this. And let me give you an example. We have districts that are on the far east side that are told, because of isthmus centric districts that have the community amenities and wraparound services that we do not have because we don't get our fair share, that say, oh, well, build those affordable housing units over in District 16. And, that's great. And then yet not give us our fair share of the amenities and community amenities and wraparound services that are setting folks up for failure. So what we do is we build these affordable housing units with no wraparound services, with no, adequate community amenities that are invested. And we set folks up for failure, right? Not only that, like for me personally, I have a car, but I would love to be able to take, a consistent bike path to wherever I need to go, or, bus wherever I'd be able to go. Number one, because I'm an environmentalist, right? We have to fight climate change, but I'm not really given that option here in District 16. And is that fair? No, it's not. So, when we look at the BRT bus rapid transit program, and it is a great program when you're thinking about it narrowly from the isthmus's perspective, but when it comes to us on the far east side, that is not looked at as part of Madison, no, it is not adequate. And we have to provide those community amenities and have someone who stands up to provide those community amenities and wraparound services such as transportation and fight for the far east side. And that's what I'm ready to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. The next question is a 1.5-minute question. It comes to Greg first. What boards or commissions would you like to serve on, and why? What experiences have you had that would make you especially qualified to serve on those?
Well, as a freshman alder, I don't know how much choice I would get. I'm really interested in urban development, and a central theme of my campaign is equality of opportunity. Um, there's been some just fantastic research recently on equality of opportunity. That's done. It's headed by a man named Raj Chetty out of Harvard, and he's developed a tool called an opportunity atlas, and I've posted a link to that on my Facebook page, Greg for Madison. The neat thing about the tool is you can drill down at the neighborhood level. And see where there's opportunity and where there isn't. It's striking. I have a picture on my Facebook page of me standing next to the Glendale sign. And you can see on the Opportunity Atlas that if you cross the street into Monona, it's a neighborhood of great opportunity. But on the Madison side, there's a lack of opportunity. The same thing happens on the Beltline. On the Monona side of the Beltline, lack of opportunity. The McFarland side, more opportunity. I would love it if people would take a look at that atlas. Again, it's on my Facebook page, Greg for Madison.
Thank you. Matt, the question comes to you. What boards or commissions would you like to serve on, and why? What experiences would serve you in that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a lot of studying on all of the committees or boards, but there's a couple that stand out to me based on my interest and my expertise: transportation policy and planning. I think parks planning and potentially public safety and review. I feel like I can make a direct impact for the 16th on any of those committees. And again, on transportation, ensuring that the 16th has a voice at the table, as we've all talked about, as kind of the evolution of Madison's transportation system continues to grow with the growth. Obviously, everybody that, as we mentioned, goes to work in a different way, whether it's a bus or a bike or a car. All of those things are important. So we need to make sure that planning is effectively happening accordingly. In terms of the parks, I want to make sure that they're effectively managed and remain in the best possible condition. The Madison parks are an incredible asset for every neighbor, and offer really some of the best opportunities for health and wellness around. So, but again, in addition to kind of speaking to you all, I mean, I definitely want to hear from constituents on any of these issues, and certainly would want to establish kind of an ongoing forum to discuss them.
Thank you. Tyson, the question comes to you.
Yeah. I guess I'll take a step back and just talk about our committee structure in general. There's over 100. There's a lot, and we might actually be changing based on the TFOG's implementation and whether we do that or not. We might be actually restructuring our committee structures in general. So this question is kind of prefaced on that and whether we do that. That being said, I would love to, be a part of, or interested in being a part of the Board of Health for Madison and Dane County. As someone on the Board of Outreach Inc., which is, one of the primary LGBTQ plus organizations, I think that, having a representative that understands LGBTQ health that is on that board would be something of value to our city. The other one is Board of Park Commissioners. I would love to and be honored to be on that one. I love parks, and I also know that the value and added value that the parks in our city brings to make this place a great place to live, work, and play. The other one would be the Public Safety Review Committee. I would like to be on that, or a tangential committee. having my lived experience and background in understanding and being culturally competent and understand how to really address the issues of our at-risk children, as being someone who was one of them, I would be honored to be on that committee as well. It looks like I have 10 seconds, so I will stop. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, JL. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What boards or commissions would you like to serve on and why? What experiences have you had that would make you especially qualified to serve on them?
Sure. Not that this is a funny topic, but a funny story to go along with this. As a first-time candidate filling out my campaign registration statement, I filled out all of the committees that I wanted to serve on and was quickly corrected that I didn't need to do that. So I do have my list. I am definitely interested in the housing strategy. I currently serve on the board of directors for the Homeless Services Consortium of Dane County, commonly known as HSC. Where I am the membership chair, meaning I facilitate monthly membership meetings of membership of over 500 members and 75 plus organizations. And so I would want to bring that expertise to housing strategy committee. The public safety review committee for sure, as I've shared in a previous answer, that really want to work with the community to redefine law enforcement's role in public safety. And so I view that entity or that committee as being a good place for that. The finance committee, in order to increase my knowledge of the financial systems and all that the city and the Common Council will do to provide guidance around that. Early childhood and education committee, as well as, interestingly enough, from the last question, transportation policy and planning, again, to learn more about the needs in our community for those services.
Great, thank you all. Well, interesting that parks came up in the last question or in your responses to the last question among a number of you. The next question starts with Matt, and it is, how are you going to assure that parks in District 16 are safe, well-maintained, and accessible for everyone?
Well, look, first I'll say that I truly believe that Madison's parks are a crown jewel of the city, and a very big part of its high quality of life. But we need to make sure that that they're safe and that they're accessible for everybody, and that they're properly maintained and managed. And I'd really like to work closely with the various neighborhood associations to make sure that we're aligned on those priorities, and to make sure that future needs and programming for our parks and really fits the needs of the community.
Okay. Tyson, you're next. I should have said this is a 1.5-minute question, 90 seconds.
Repeat the question, please. Sorry.
How are you going to assure that parks in District 16 are safe, well-maintained, and accessible for everyone?
Okay. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but honestly, it's the same thing. It is making sure that we are, we have a representative who is a true advocate and fighter for the Far East Side, and that we're getting our fair share. And currently that is not the case. I want to increase our, community amenities just in general. That includes especially parks, and make sure that the Far East Side is a place, again, to live, work, and play, and a place that we love to live in, and that keeps on being that. So what does that mean? It means making sure that we have an advocate for District 16, an advocate for the Far East Side, and someone who is really going to fight for, getting our fair share, which we currently do not. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's essentially really what we have to do to ensure that, we, as someone who's not looked at, a lot of times looked at as kind of a suburb of Madison, is getting our fair share, and especially one of the fastest growing areas as well. It's not only that we are, growing as a city. A lot of times that growth is unfairly burdened on some of our, the Far East Side and others, outer areas of Madison, and we need to make sure that we're getting our fair share of resources and community amenities, and continue to do so. And I will be an advocate to continue that.
Thank you. JL, the question comes to you. How would you assure parks in District 16 are well-maintained, safe, and accessible for everyone?
Thank you. Well, the Far East Side, and especially in District 16, can pride ourselves on having strong neighborhoods and strong neighborhood associations. And so I know that there are existing organizing efforts, coalitions that have a very intentional lens on our parks within the East Side. I would develop a great partnership with the Madison Parks Division, definitely keeping them appraised of issues that I, as a resident, observe, as well as those being brought to me as an elected official. I think one of an opportune thing, especially living within the district that you serve, is being part of that community. And so it's kind of silly again, but during walks, as I'm walking through the neighborhood, picking up trash, making observations, being aware of my environment, because being informed is a way to definitely inform policy, to inform change, and to enhance and keep the beautification of our parks that we have on the East Side intact.
Thank you. Greg, how would you assure parks in District 16 are safe, well-maintained, and accessible for everyone?
So I'm happy to answer this question. I have three central themes of my campaign, and it spells C. So S is for safe neighborhoods, E is for equality of opportunity, and the second E is for the environment. My wife is a naturalist. She used to work at the Aldo Leopold Nature Center. Right next to that is Edna Taylor Conservation Park. It's a beautiful park. Just so everyone knows, you can't take your dogs there because it's a conservation park. The Yahara Hills Golf Course was recently on the committee agenda, or the city council agenda, as they're planning on closing half of the golf course and redesigning some of it. So I would really want to be active in being part of that redesign. I walked the golf course a few weeks ago. I talked to golfers, I talked to the maintenance staff, and I talked to disc golfers. So disc golfers use the golf course in the winter. They love it. They play all winter long. I would love to expand the use of our parks so that they're used more in the winter. Some of the parks are used, some of them are not. Some of them have sledding hills, most of them do not. So I would really like to see the expansion of the park use. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next question is a 2-minute question. It comes to you first, Tyson. With increased spending and lower revenues collected by the city of Madison, there will not be enough money to support all the services needed. What are the 3 areas you would be willing to cut? What 3 areas would you preserve?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Did
That's a really good question. And, getting serious here, I don't think have seen, and the data doesn't really show, or does show, excuse me, that I don't think we've seen the economic impact quite hit yet, and of what we're going to have to deal with that is going to affect revenues that the city will be receiving. This question is largely going to be contingent on whether we receive, the state and federal funding that we should as a municipal government to be able to tackle this issue and get beyond this issue without having to make the cuts that are unfairly burdened on municipal governments right now. With that being said, I think what we need to do and make sure that we're doing in 2022 when we're looking at our budget, that is going to be there's going to be some really hard decisions that we're going to have to, make and ensure that we are really getting the bang for our bucks with some of where our money is going. Results oriented and truly results oriented when coming from, when making decisions on where our money should be allocated and where it should go. We should expect that, that there is results to back that up. And if there are programs that are not showing those results, we should reassess them, quite honestly. And we can do better as a city, and we will be able to get beyond this. This is going to be a challenging time and a really challenging budget. One of the things that I will make sure to advocate for is making sure that our District 16, is safe. That means, yes, that ambulance will happen if I am on council. We will get the services that were not in this last budget that we deserve as District 16. And I have heard from a lot of residents to ensure that, we get the ambulance services that we deserve as a community. That will be something that I promise I will fight for tooth and nail to make sure that we get as District 16. Right now, the ambulance response times will not be adequate enough to ensure that our residents are safe, and we'll make sure that that is included in the budget.
Thank you. JL, it comes to you. With increased spending, lower revenues collected by the city, there won't be enough money to support all the services. What are 3 areas you would be willing to cut? And what are 3 areas that you would preserve?
Thank you. A very great loaded question that definitely is going to need more information before saying A, B, C, these are the 3 things to cut. What I do want to highlight is the advocacy on the city and county levels to bring about $25 million of the CARES Act money into our community during COVID. Ways that I have seen that benefit our community, especially within my service arena, is making sure that residents who do not have places to sleep at night were able to shelter in hotels and not make a further risk to the community or themselves by being in precocious and precarious situations outside or in cars. These coalitions and community-focused solutions should continue in our post-pandemic recovery and rebuild, but we are not yet there in a post-pandemic stage. We also look towards solutions and assistance and hope that should and can be provided by the incoming Biden-Harris administration. So from the federal levels, and also tapping into those resources in order to revitalize our economy and our local communities. Thinking of better ways to use TIF money to benefit districts and not to benefit District 16 and not just the downtown area. We know that TIF districts have been in District 16 before. And also make every effort to finance projects that can continue to provide economic growth, such as TIDs. These are always collecting value, and leftover funds then can be put towards the development and funding of more affordable housing. So just an example of some things that I'm aware of, but obviously leading into 2020 and 2021 and 2022, there will need to be very difficult decisions made.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg, the question comes to you. Do you need me to repeat any of it?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. I'd like it repeated.
Okay, with increased spending and lower revenues collected by the city of Madison, there won't be enough money to support all of the services needed. What are the 3 areas that you would be willing to cut, and what 3 areas would you preserve?
And this is 90 seconds?
Correct.
Okay. Yes, so
that's not correct. It's 2 minutes. Have we been giving people 2 minutes? I'm sorry, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah, that sounds great. Just to piggyback on what JL was saying a little bit, the Biden administration has promised the Build Back Better program. The Biden administration, I'm calling them the administration already. Hopefully the inauguration will go okay, and they'll be the administration in a week's time. They've promised massive investments in green technology. And I've mentioned this before, but I think that we should concentrate on developing the area next to along Agriculture Drive, along Marsh Road on the south side of the Beltline. I think we should work with the Biden administration, try to bring some of that money here for development, for renovating homes, for replacing appliances with electrical appliances, with solar power. I think we can build the tax base in this district If we can build the tax base, we won't be in such a crisis mode. If we can create wealth through these programs, we won't need to be in such a crisis of deficits. It's a very hard time with people being out of work, with businesses being closed, but it's dire times now, but I think that there's light on the horizon. Thanks.
Thank you. And Matt.
Yeah, well, starting with the cuts, which obviously are more difficult. Listen, I'm always open to hearing ways that we can be more efficient with the city's dollars. I don't have any specific areas that are right now, but anytime that we can preserve our funds and do something, better to help more people, and if we're not getting our most bang for our buck, then we should definitely reprioritize. In terms of preserving certain things, I feel certain about three specific ones. Look, anything connected to supporting public health. Right now, we all understand how important public health measures are, particularly as it relates to COVID and the public vaccine rollout. It's critical that we support public health measures as fully as possible. Anything that's going to help us defeat the virus is priority number one, in my opinion. Public and private partnerships across the community to widely distribute the vaccine has to be a priority. Secondly, anything connected to public safety has to be preserved. We've talked a lot about safety and security. There's a pretty simple bottom line. I mean, a safe community is a strong community, so we have to continue to support that. Lastly, I would kind of get back on the transportation improvements, investing in transportation, making it more efficient, more accessible, can have a positive impact on everybody's daily life. So it's a continuous investment, and it essentially needs to never stop.
Thank you. Okay, this will be question 8 coming up. It's a minute and a half long. It comes to JL first. Do you support full-time alders? Why or why not?
So I know that there are current talks, and in the last Common Council meeting, alders were talking about bringing that vote to referendum this spring. I do know, again, from working in social services, that there's a lot that comes at you. One thing that I love about my profession is that no day is the same as any other. And sometimes we thrive in the crisis or just know how to respond based on prior experiences. Sorry, my headphones went up. So bringing that back full circle, oh my goodness, I kind of forgot the question.
Full-time alders, why?
Full-time alders, yes. So I know that with organization, that with support and with collaboration, it is very difficult to fit all of the connections and responsibilities within a 20-hour work week. With that being said, as a Black woman coming from a marginalized community, I do have grave concerns about access for folks that look like me to represent the city as elected officials if we were to move to reduce the size of the current alder council. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg, do you support full-time alders? Why or why not?
And this is 90 seconds?
Correct.
So if people are on Nextdoor, you can find my thread or my post where, so I attended the city council meeting last week, via Zoom. And I got up the next day and I wrote a post and it starts, "Oh my God, no," OMG, no. And first I just have to express frustration. Again, we're in just this critical time. And in some ways it seems like, you know, the world is ending and the alders are sitting around thinking about giving themselves full-time positions, changing their pay from $13,000 to potentially $71,000. Half as many alders. I don't know where to start. I think it's a terrible idea. So to piggyback on something Jael said, so you know, again, I'm for equality of opportunity. Becoming an alder, even the way it's structured right now, is a hard climb. One of the alders last week at the city council meeting, he said he spent $10,000 on his last election. How do people of limited means, how do working people, how will they ever become alders? It's going to become a political class with it'll just be unapproachable for average people. For low income people, they'll never be able to become an alder. I just think it's a terrible idea.
Thank you. Matt, do you support full-time alders?
Yeah, well, I'm relatively new to Madison still, about a year and a half in. And until Greg just informed me, I truly had no idea there was any money in this at all. I thought this was completely volunteer. And I'm not even a part-time alder yet. So I'm going to focus on earning that opportunity first. But look, I believe a part-time citizen alder serves us pretty well. From my perspective, this is not designed to be a full-time occupation. And if alders were going to be full-time, then that's not really something I could do. I'm working on building my own small business, and I'm passionate about that. So, you know, I think in addition, you know, I have a concern that if you were to do this, you basically reduce the council size in half, and by definition, you know, and geography, the districts would then double in size and have double the constituents. Look, from my perspective, that doesn't afford nearly the same level of problem solving and kind of neighborhood level focus and attention that that's deserved. So yeah, I'm a hard no on that.
Thank you. Tyson.
Yeah, so there's a lot of nuance here, and I do want to clarify some things. I have read the full actual ad hoc task force on the structure of city government, TFOGs, is what it's known for, and have really thought about this a lot. And I want to separate these into two separate things. The first, if it's just the question alone, which is, do you support full-time alders? I think we need to understand what the reality is that people are needing to actually be an effective alder, commit over 20 hours a week to this job. When that comes to constituency outreach, when that comes to actually understanding the policies that are coming before us, what that means, that also means attending those committee meetings. And, you know, having been someone who has attended these, you know, I believe almost every single one, except for when I had surgery, you know, a council meeting and a lot of committee meetings, you know, they go for a long time, and there's a lot of upfront work as well that you need to do. So I think that we should separate these into two separate questions. Do you support full-time alders? Well, the reality is, you know, we almost need full-time alders literally to do a legitimate job right now. The second question is, how many of those alders should we have? Right now, the current TFOG's recommendation and what they were talking about at the Aldermanic or the last city council meeting is ensuring, should we just put on the ballot that question, or should we also then put on the ballot, do you want to decrease the size of the amount of alders? I am not sure I am for that, but right now we need to accept the reality that be an adequate alder, you need to be ready to serve at least 20 hours a week or more. So I think it's just to bring some clarification there onto what we're talking about. And it looks like I'm out of time. So thank you.
Thank you all. We do have some questions from the audience. So if you want to take just a moment and have a drink of water or something, we'll go on. We have received 4 questions from audience members, and that concludes our 8 questions that we had prepared. All right. The first question, and let me see now who would go first. Yeah. Okay, it will come to Greg first. And it is, Madison has some of the worst racial disparities in the country as far as incarceration, education, and other areas. Why do you think you're the person to best address these issues? And what connections have you established in the community that will help you understand and address them?
Just 90 seconds or 2 minutes?
I'd say 2 minutes.
Okay, thanks. So equality of opportunity it's the reason that I got into this race. This has just been something that has been important to me for my entire life. Like you said, it's for as long as I can remember, we've had really high incarceration rates, disparate rates of incarceration for Black people compared with white people. I mentioned before on my Facebook page, Greg for Madison, there is a tool called the Opportunity Atlas. So what this does is you can look by neighborhood what the opportunity is, what chance a child born in poverty can escape that poverty. And you can drill down by race. So you can look at Black people versus all people, or Black people versus white people. You can look at men versus women. So what is the chance that a Black boy will become middle class if he's born poor? And you can look from neighborhood to neighborhood. And the striking thing is that there are vast differences. So I mentioned that in front of the Glendale sign on the corner of Flom Road and Monona Drive, you can walk across the street and you're in a high equality of opportunity neighborhood. If you're in the Glendale neighborhood, you're in kind of a somewhat lower equality of opportunity neighborhood. And there are vast differences between Black people and white people, especially among Black boys. Black boys throughout Madison have much less opportunity than everybody else. The exciting thing, though, is that some of this data gives us the opportunity to ask questions. What is it about each neighborhood that gives people more opportunity? So I really invite people to check out the Atlas. It's from it's called the Opportunity Atlas, and you can find it on my Facebook page, Greg for Madison. Thanks.
Thank you. Matt, the question will come to you. Why do you think that you're the best person to address the issues of racial disparities? And what connections have you established in the community that will help you understand and address those issues?
Well, look, like I mentioned at the top, the way I focus on things, I'm a professional communicator by trade in my everyday life. I firmly believe that you listen first and that you solve problems second. I'm like I said, I really have been here for about 1.5 years in the Glendale neighborhood. But I was able to quickly establish connections in my own neighborhood where I live, just by reaching out to my neighbors, getting to know them, getting to understand who they are, how long they've lived there, what their concerns are, what their issues are, and I know that I can continue to do that for the entire 16th district. But again, we really need to focus on education and jobs, programs. We have to be working with young adults in the community, helping them find jobs in partnership with local businesses. We need to focus on, terrific economic development and job programs that offer the best quality of life for every single citizen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Tyson.
Yeah, going into what Greg said, I was that Black boy. I've lived the two Madisons. I've been there, and I really don't think people understand the cultural competency it needs to just not only ensure that these programs that we, are putting money towards are just a good faith effort, but that they're also, effective. And what that needs, what we need is folks that, can bridge that gap. And that's what I'm ready to do. And that's the very reason that I'm running. I could have very easily gone down a path, if it wasn't for pure luck, that is not a good one. And that so many of our youth, it's so disheartening to see, don't have the opportunities or the abilities to really contribute to our community or feel that sense of belonging in our community and support in our community that they deserve. And we see what happens when we don't do that. We also see what happens, and we have to really have a reckoning as a city to understand that we do have some of the worst racial disparities in the country. And, that's why I have decided to run, is because I've lived in Richmond Hills. I've lived in the Glendale area. I have lived, on Vernon Avenue, all across this district. And I mean, how have I built those relationships? Is I've lived there. I've lived in the low income neighborhoods, and I've gotten out of poverty as a Black boy that grew up in an LGBTQ plus Black boy that grew up in this community. All the cards were stacked against me. And I want to make sure that we continue on, as a city, to really be the Madison that we can really be and bridge that gap between the two Madisons. And I truly believe that I am the best candidate to do that.
Okay, thank you. JL.
Can you repeat? I know the gist, but can you
Yes.
repeat the full?
Madison has some of the worst racial disparities in the country as far as incarceration, education, and other areas. Why do you think you're the best person to address these issues, and what connections have you established in the community that will help you understand and address them?
Sure, thank you. So like in my introduction to myself, my list of identities was not all inclusive. There's a lot more identities that I have, but being a Black woman who was born and raised in Madison definitely is one that provides me with the confidence that I not only have the desire, the knowledge of Madison, of the 33 years I've been here on this world, but also the desires to have Madison be a place where everyone thrives, where everyone feels safe and not just survival. And my identities alone provide that I come from this background. I come from a community where I too worked out of poverty or worked my way up from being a teen mom. I was once a recipient of services that I now oversee in my job. And so I don't take that lightly. I realize that I am privileged, even though history, books, and media will tell us that Black and brown folks don't have the capacities to thrive, or it's just pure luck or education, or they pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It takes the support from elected officials. It takes support from the community. It also means working side by side. And service is something that I thrive myself on versus assisting or helping. And to serve your community means that you see everyone within that community as equals. And so I will, as Alder, take not only my lived experience of coming from a marginalized background, from a statistic of being a teen mom to a master's degree holder, and also bring those up alongside me. I hope to be I hope to encourage another woman that looks like me to run for office or that has had the same background, so that they can truly represent us.
Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, for our next question from the audience tonight, let's give this one 90 seconds, and it will first go to Matt. What community organizations are you involved in? And are they within the District 16? Are there some within District 16?
Well, for me, this is going to be an easy one to answer. Right now, I'm not currently involved in any community organizations. As I said, I'm just moving here recently and trying to get my business up and off the ground. It's not something that I've been able to participate in, which has been disappointing to me. I think the past year has been difficult to get out and to meet people and to kind of understand what some of the issues are. But like I said, you know, I believe in bringing people together. I know I can do that, and hopefully I'm afforded that opportunity.
Great, thank you. Tyson, what community
Yeah.
organizations?
I'm trying to literally, like, I've been a part of so many, I'm trying to like remember right now which one. All of them. So as of late, I was the Assembly District 48 representative, which is encompassing part of District 16 with the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. I was formerly a member until I had to separate my my professional job from East Side Progressives. I have knocked doors in the district for East Side Progressives a lot of times, and have been a part of East Side Progressives for you know, off and on for quite a few years now, ever since Gretchen Lowe knocked on my door on Vernon Avenue and asked me to be a part of it. I'm currently also serve as the vice president of the board of directors of Outreach Inc., which is an LGBTQ focused organization. And, you know, during this time, especially, we have some successful programs thanks to community members like y'all, such as Wilma's Fund, which ensures that like our at-risk and homeless youth and LGBTQ folks are housed or provided with rental assistance during this time. You know, a lot of our LGBTQ folks especially are disproportionately impacted by this recession and crisis, this pandemic that we are currently living in. And so I have been working really hard to ensure that that issue that is dear to me is focused on, and that we, you know, support our community during this time. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other organizations because of my brain right now, but yeah, those are just a few.
Thank you. JL, community organizations that you've been involved with, and any in District 16?
Sure. So I previously mentioned this, but I am part of the HSE Homeless Services Consortium Board of Directors, as well as serve as their chair. Prior to that, I spent a lot of time trying to join up with professional development or training to grow as a leader and to gain confidence. And so I've participated in Leadership of Greater Madison, New Leaders Council, the Charles Hamilton Houston Institute on their board of directors, as well as being one of the first members of the Supporting Healthy Black Families Through Urban Triage. My time, I'd say when I started my career, was obviously devoted to being a mother of young children. And now that my kids are in middle and high school, I feel like I have more time and autonomy to be involved in my community, specifically on the East Side, and specifically aligning with my interest in policy, hopefully as an elected official, but it doesn't have to be that way either to be involved. Getting involved in organizations such as the East Side Progressives, Dane Dems, and being more involved in the political scene as well, so I can learn and grow and a leader in that landscape.
Thank you. Greg, 90 seconds.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I helped start a program for exercise and nutrition on the south side of Madison at Access Community Health Center. It was called Harambe Health Hour, where we met with you know, mostly lower income, but really a wide variety of people, teaching them about diet and exercise. It was a walking group where we would go for walks. A lot of lower income people are at high risk for diabetes, which is just a huge issue in both the Latino population and the Black population. They have much higher rates of diabetes. And of course, diet and exercise can help with that. I've been a tutor at the Boys and Girls Club, not the one on near South Park Street, but the one off Allied Drive. And I wanted to mention that is a great opportunity. That kind of opportunity is a great way for young kids to meet people from different walks of life. A number of our schools have tutoring programs, and I really encourage people to talk to your local school, tutor the local kids. That has such a profound effect on just young kids who might not know what opportunities there are out there. So it's not so much about the math lesson, it's about meeting people from a different walk of life. That can just have enormous impacts on the lives of young people.
Thank you. Okay, let's, 2 more questions. Let's take 2 minutes for the next question. It'll come to you, Tyson, from the audience tonight. Families in District 16 are invested in the greater Madison community. However, we need you to prioritize us over concerns that may be percolating in other areas of the city. How will you work to prioritize District 16's needs over those that may be louder and bolder in the discussions and that don't have as great an effect on our neighborhood? At the same time, how will you make our needs louder and bolder so that others take an interest in our priorities?
I love that question. Whoever made that, I love that question. Like I said, again, broken record, making sure to be a loud and bold representative for District 16. Like I've been saying since the start of my campaign, and like I've been saying, for years in the community, is, we have an unfair burden right now of, taking on a lot of the issues that the city is facing, yet not getting the adequate resources because of exactly what's being said right here, right? And I'm going to make sure to fight for District 16 and our residents that we're getting our fair share, that we have the community amenities that other places have, and that we are looked at as part of Madison too. We are Madison. We are Madison just as much as the Isthmus, and will be a bold and strong voice to ensure that that is the case and that we are represented on the council. You and District 16 deserves an alder who is committed to not only hearing the concerns of, our residents, but also taking action on them. And again, I am ready to put in that work. Not only am I ready to put in that work, I'm really ready to put in that work. We have a lot of opportunity here. Again, I am ready to commit those 20 hours plus a week that it takes to really move us forward as a city, and also really have a true representative for District 16 with the adequate community amenities, with the adequate funding, with the adequate ambulance and fire services that we deserve as a city that were just not put in the budget as of late. That requires homework, that requires experience, and that requires an ability to, number one, connect with all of our constituents, listen, hear what they have to say, and know how and where and in what way you need to take action to make that happen. And I believe that I am the best candidate to do that. And ready to do that. And that's why, you have seen a lot of community members and a lot of community leaders and former and current alders getting behind my campaign, because they are ready to back me to make sure that that happens. And I hope to gain your support to allow me to do so this February 16th.
Thank you, Tyson.
Yeah.
JL, the question comes to you. How will you work to prioritize District 16's needs over other needs in the city that may get more airtime? And how would you also, make District 16's needs more visible and to attract more support?
Sure. I also really love this question too. I think first and foremost, it calls for bold, and I know loud was used in the question, I think originally, not to necessarily yell over people, but it takes bold leadership. So that means coming with solutions, coming with ideas, sometimes going against the grain or presenting something that hasn't been presented before. I think I have a unique perspective as well as working in the Capitol Square area, where I know that my vision and array, for instance, of the homeless population is amplified by I'm there every day, but it's bringing those issues to the council of the Far East Side. It is bringing an experience of me being born and raised and spending almost all of my life on the east side of Madison. It's bringing the experience of being an MMSD alum and now an MMSD parent, and really highlighting that not much has changed since I myself was in school. And so in that bold leadership, excuse me, It's also bringing alongside and amplifying, the voices of the district and of the neighborhood and of the communities that make up our district. And the presence here tonight shows that there is a strong commitment and there's strong coalitions already. So it's building upon that. I don't think that the District 16 alderperson, I know the District 16 alderperson will not be successful if they work in a silo and that they don't bring the voices of the districts with them, invite folks to these committee meetings and to entities to not only be one voice, but it is a collective voice and saying the same thing. And that is the east side of Madison deserves every much of attention as the Isthmus in downtown Madison.
Thank you. And Matt, let me make sure I'm correct on that. I'm sorry, Greg, you're next. Wait 1 second. Yes, Greg, you were next, sorry.
Okay. And
Do you want me to repeat the question?
no, how much time?
2 minutes?
2 minutes? Okay, yeah, sounds good. You know, I talk to people in the city council. I talk to people downtown, and when we talk about how the District 16 or neighborhoods, like Elvium and Glendale and Liberty Place and Lost Creek and Owl Creek, we don't get the same resources as the Near East Side. And like Tyson has brought up a couple of times, we don't have an ambulance. I went and visited the fire station over here a couple days ago. It's pretty near my house, and talked to them about that. And I said, it's not news to you, I know, but what if somebody has a heart attack? We don't have an ambulance here. We have a brand new fire station, but the city can't come up with the money for an ambulance. Our district is really large. Geographically, it's one of the largest districts in the city. And the response that I get is, well, all of the economic activity is downtown. That's where the tax base is. Well, it's that way by design. If we spend all of our resources downtown, that's where the tax base is going to be. We design this city. So, I mentioned a couple of times we have a couple of business parks in District 16. I suggest that we work with the Biden administration as a city, but especially in District 16, to try to bring more businesses to those business parks. Green energy, green technology, building to renovate homes. There's just a vast potential in this district that will that'll help build the tax base of this district. And then it kind of answers the question, well, you're not putting money in. Well, we will be putting money in because we'll have a bigger tax base.
Thank you. And lastly, to Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I mean, I will be sure to, openly communicate with all neighbors and all neighborhoods across 16th. So, everybody clearly understands together what the priorities are. And then, it's about the hard work of bringing those issues to the council and fighting for them every single day. I mean, I'm running for alder to help ensure that the 16th is a vibrant, growing, inclusive community on our east side, and that our issues and needs are a priority on the Common Council. So I plan to work with the mayor and the council to do everything that we can do to help support a strong community and strong economic development and job growth. I mean, we have to ensure that the 16th is a place that offers opportunities for everybody while continuing to build the foundations for effective public health and safety.
Great. Okay, one last question from the audience before we give you time for your closing statements. It will come to you first, JL. It'll be 90 seconds. How should the city work with unions?
Well, I grew up in a pro-union home, and as a person that worked for the county government, was part of AFSCME previously. And then Act 10 happened. So we have robust unions and coalitions existing of very hardworking individuals doing very essential services for our community. One area that I would love to see, especially as it intersects with what I do for work, is a highlighting of apprenticeships and internship opportunities to create family sustaining wages, but also careers for individuals who are under and unemployed. When I was in high school, I got my first taste of being in a helping profession by being part of a nurse's assistant's apprenticeship. I was able to gain my CNA or certified nursing assistant's license at the age of 17 and make an hourly salary of $12 while having a 6-month-old child. So I think highlighting opportunities, again, to provide not only job growth, but job training and experiences that will help families sustain themselves and individuals reach career aspirations and higher heights.
Thank you. Greg, you are next on how should the city work with unions in 90 seconds.
So, I mentioned a couple of times the Biden administration's plans to build back better, and it's interesting when you read their plan. They talk a lot about unions. They talk about trade unions, about the importance of creating local jobs in unions. Again, with green technology. If we can get some of that money flowing into Madison, it can help build union jobs. So not only will we be working with the unions, but there will be the opportunity for more union jobs within Madison. The unions have just been so important in building the quality of life for many workers over years and years. The teachers union. I mentioned that I'm a professional press photographer. So I worked for AFSCME during the when Governor Walker was essentially ripping the union apart. And so I spent a lot of time working within the union. It's just a tragedy how all of that unfolded. But anyway, I think in the future we can look forward to more union jobs in Madison with the Biden administration's plans, and I think that's an exciting thing.
Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, thanks. Well, look, I learned firsthand about the strength of unions coming from an incredible family of public school teachers and nurses. And, my experience has been, and particularly, I've worked in the real estate development and construction industry in the past as well. And my experience is that strong unions are the best way to continue to attract great talent in jobs and particularly across the trades. It's not one or the other, right? I mean, Madison can both embrace and support economic development while also strengthening the quality of life for every single citizen. So, economic development and new construction can be a primary driver of strong local economies. And, to the extent that there's strong unions, they provide good, well-paying jobs. And that's essential not only to grow the local economy, but to make the 16th district and Madison more broadly a great place to live.
Thank you. Tyson?
We should work with unions, period. As your elected official, I will use my position to unconditionally support the needs of our workers in championing our working class, full stop. That includes every aspect of city government. That includes the contracts that we do for construction and ensuring that they are union workers and continue to be so. That also includes selling and making sure folks and constituents understand some of the concerns that I've heard that are not true. What does that mean? Unions cost more, or, union workers will cost more if we have union workers, right? That is not the case. What will happen is we will get more ROI if we actually have quality workers and union-backed workers doing and building our buildings and, in our communities. And that also makes a strong middle class and a strong District 16. I will be a strong advocate and always have been a strong advocate for unions, and I will continue to do so, full stop. I could speak more, but I just don't feel like it's.
Okay. Thank you all. And audience, thank you so much for your questions. We appreciate that. And we will start now with closing statements. You'll each have 2 minutes. And we will start with Greg, go to Matt, then Tyson, then JL. So Greg, 2-minute closing.
Well, first I want to thank the other candidates. And I want to thank you, Joe. You've been awesome. There were a couple of little glitches at the first, but this has really been an awesome forum. Once again, I have 3 priorities: safe neighborhoods, equality of opportunity, and the environment. And just to talk for another minute about equality of opportunity. So this sounds like I'm an introduction to a joke, but what do the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mark Zuckerberg, and Joe Biden have in common? So it's not a very good joke. It's Raj Chetty and the group that he started, Opportunity Insights. So again, the Opportunity Atlas is on my Facebook page at Greg for Madison. It allows you to look neighborhood by neighborhood where the opportunities are, where they aren't. You can drill down to different income categories, different races, men versus women. You can see where the opportunities are and where they aren't. And again, it's really striking how you can go from one side of the street to the other. From next to La Follette High School, you walk across the street and opportunity is better. Why is that? And so, the Opportunity Insights has gone further, and they found that the keys to opportunity are schools, social capital, which is like your connections within the community, income disparity without vast differences between the rich and the poor, integration and strong families are all key to equality of opportunity. Again, I really encourage you to check out the Opportunity Atlas and read up about what that means. I think it means so much for our community. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Matt, you're next. 2-minute closing.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I want to thank the Eastside Progressives. I want to thank GRUMPS again. That's absolutely my new favorite organizational acronym. That's perfect. I want to thank you, Joe, for moderating. And I want to thank Greg, Jael, and Tyson for sharing your views with me as well. So look, I'll just go back to something that I've said several times. And at the top, I believe in a very simple strategy. Listen first, solve problems second. And this is our community together. And we need to focus on pro-growth and pro-people policies that support a strong economy and a high quality of life in Madison. And that's even more important right now in these times of great need. And I know that can be done in an equitable and inclusive way. Madison can both embrace and support economic development and also strengthen the quality of life for every single citizen. It's just as simple as that. But we have to communicate openly and honestly with each other. We have to be respectful of everybody's ideas. And personally, I hope I earn the opportunity to work together with all of you on these issues. Thanks.
Thank you. Tyson.
Well, thank you, Eastside Progressives and GRUMPS for doing this forum. Having been a moderator on one of these before, I know how much work it takes to put in to getting these questions together and making sure that this happens. And so thank you, Joe, and thank you all of the Eastside Progressive folks and GRUMPS folks that I know a lot of you. Thank you for doing this forum and giving the community an opportunity to hear from all of us. I am running and making sure to run for District 16 Alder, and as your Alder, I will make sure that we have a safe and inclusive Madison, that I, as an Alder, am committing to you to hear your concerns and be responsive and a solutions-based Alder who listens to everyone, including voices that I don't disagree with, or that I do disagree with, excuse me, and ensure that all voices are heard in our community, all voices feel listened to, and all of our problems really can get addressed in an effective, results-oriented way. I believe that I have put in the work in our community and have gained the experience to be ready to serve on the council, and I'm proud to have the endorsements of many council members such as Alder Tag Evers, Alder former President Shiva Badar, Alder Arvina Martin, along with community members that are teachers, educators, and many other folks such as educator Mike Jones, the Vice President of MTI, along with many others that have wouldn't be here without them and their support, and thank you to all of them. I ask you to vote for Tyson Vitale, me. It's weird saying myself in third person. February 16th. To make sure that we get a fighter and someone who is going to really represent the East Side's needs and truly move our city forward. I see a real opportunity to move our city forward, and I have put in the work and I'm ready to put in the time and the work continuing on as your Alder to make sure that that happens. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tyson. And JL.
Thank you again to everyone for having myself and co-candidates tonight, the time you've taken to listen to us, and all the organizing that went into putting this important forum together. So thank you. District 16 and Madison residents have a timely opportunity to change the trajectory of our city with their votes leading into the 2021 spring primary and election. We must revitalize our community, our economy. We need leadership that will empower and collaborate with communities. And we must stop the talk and move into action on creating equitable outcomes for all Madison residents. Being here tonight is a blessing in itself, as it indicates we've survived the unprecedented times and impacts caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And while this is an immeasurable blessing, I know that it has not come without crippling effects of fear, anxiety, and loss on many, many levels. What has also grown during that time is frustration, anger, and looking towards local government and leadership. In addition to my campaign priorities and looking forward to a post-COVID environment, I would be remiss to not remind us that we must all ensure that residents who have felt devastating and traumatic effects predating COVID-19 by decades not only hear, but see demonstrable acts that prove their lives indeed do matter. A quote that I often use by Ayanna Pressley is, "Those closest to the pain should be closest to the power." I've shared information and stories about my backstory to indicate that I have, and still at times am part of that pain. But I am now championing and trying to provide a voice for my community as well as District 16. I would be honored by your support of moving Madison forward by voting for me on February 16th. And for more information and ways on how to connect with my campaign, please visit my website, which is curryforcitycouncil.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, all of you candidates, and to the audience for being here tonight, for Jacob for running things on the back end, and Arden for getting her exercise with the timing signs. Thank you all. You can apply now for an absentee ballot at myvote.wi.gov. You can request a ballot for the February 16th primary, or the April 6th general election, or for all elections in 2021. Some of the items on the ballots include, in the February 16th primary, District 16 Alder and State Superintendent of Schools. And then April 6th general election is going to have the Aldermanic races, State Superintendent of Schools, 2 seats on the Madison School Board, and an advisory referendum on the structure of the Madison City Council. Please check regularly back on the ESP Facebook page or at our website at eastsideprogressives.org, where you can review and share a recording of tonight's forum. You could help plan and reschedule another forum later in the winter, hopefully with the school board candidates. We could use your help in planning that. And to get involved in the steering committee, if you like, which has its own elections. The Eastside Progressive Steering Committee has its own elections in April. So we welcome you to participate at any time. Once again, thanks to all of the candidates this evening, J.L. Curry, Greg Dixon, Matt Trammell, and Tyson Vitale. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night. Be safe. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And Arden, you did an amazing job.
Great job.
With the waving of the time's up thing, yeah, they're right on. That was great without cutting us off or anything. You were awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.